Welcome back to Planet Doug, Penang edition. As you may or may not be able to see right away, I think I have to raise the seat. I'm sitting on this Brompton folding bike. The sun has come out this morning, so I quickly got on the bike, got it set up, unfolded, because I want to head out for breakfast and then do a little bit of a bike tour around parts of Penang. But first breakfast, I'm going to go back to Cafe Evergreen, where I went with a friend of mine the other day. He introduced me to Kway Teow Tung. And this place, Cafe Evergreen, is supposed to make some very good Kway Teow Tung. It was very good. And you get classic toast with an egg dip and things like that. So, and it's less than a kilometer from my Airbnb. The great thing about being on any kind of bike, of course, is that you're sort of a hybrid. I have some of the mobility and speed of a car or motorcycle, but then I can also occasionally be like a pedestrian, and I can take a shorter route by going across pedestrian crosswalks and things like that. What I mean is, if I asked Google Maps for motorcycle directions, it would take me on a big loop that way because I have to kind of go through traffic lights in order to make left and right hand turns. And if I ask for walking directions, it takes me this way. The most direct, most pleasant route is always the walking route. Oddly enough, it often has no option for cycling, like Google Maps. I asked it for cycling directions to Cafe Evergreen, and it's not even a choice. It just doesn't have any information about cycling. So I just asked for the walking route, and I ride my bike along the walking route. And it works out. Ah, nice. Penang. Gotta love it. Just the old houses, the architecture, everything you know and love about Penang, about Georgetown.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
How are you? Sometimes, of course, these little walking shortcuts become known to motorcyclists too, and they become very heavily trafficked with motorcycles and fast-moving cars as they're zipping through the shortcuts. Look at that. Le Beau Dickens. Hold it. This doesn't look like I'm in the right spot. This doesn't look right at all. Must be one more road up, I think. Now I just noticed the name of this street, Dickens Lane, or Dickens Street. Yeah, I misjudged. It's the next street up. It is not on Dickens. I'll have to get this straight in my head. Le Beau, or Lebe, I don't know how to say it, of course. I can never remember if that translates as street or lane. I think it's street, actually. So that would be Le Beau Street. Or lane. I'll find out. And this is Jalan Hutton. Being an English speaker, of course, I very much like all the English names in Penang. Very easy to remember, to understand. Okay, Jalan Hutton is translated into English as Hutton Lane. So Jalan is a lane. Remember that. It kind of works out, right? Has a Jalan, has L-A-N in it. very close to lane. Okay, this looks better. The small front wheel on these folding bicycles makes them very responsive. So you can't really jerk the handlebars around because you end up zooming all over the place. You got to keep them steady and going in a straight line. And there it is on my right. Cafe Evergreen. So now I just have to find a spot where I can fold up my bike and bring it inside. I got instructions and lessons in how to properly fold this bike, but I have no idea whether I can pull it off or not. Okay, here's a nice roomy place to try it. The key, or one of the many keys, is the seat. So the seat is, when you unfold it, it's the first thing you raise, but when you're folding, it's the last thing you put down. So the seat is either first or last, and for folding, it is last. So I got to remember that. Okay, this is probably going to be embarrassing. Number one, rear wheel. So you undo the clamp, and you raise the bike and swing the wheel underneath. There we go. And then the handlebars go next, I believe. And this is the tricky part, which I can never figure out, because I keep trying to turn it because it has to go this way, but you don't turn it, you kind of have to lift it up or something. I just don't get it. I don't get the motion. It looks so easy in the videos. I kind of did it right. I mean, it ended up in the right place. I just didn't do it very smoothly. And then the handlebars swing around. Oh, okay, that's... I have a camera mount here, and that's getting in the way. There you go. Now that all that is done, you lower the seat. Yeah, I did it right, I just did it awkwardly. But again, something about these folding bikes which I wasn't aware of. That is heavy. I mean, it's pulling me over. I mean, you can carry that a little while, but you know, they talk about carrying this into the subway system to ride the subway to work, but in a lot of MRT transfer points, you have to walk, up to a kilometer sometimes. You know, half a kilometer is pretty standard, and you couldn't walk for half a kilometer carrying this. It does have wheels on the bottom for a short distance, but man, you could take it to school, take it to work, but you need really short distances after you fold it and then to carry it. I mean, in this case, the only reason I'm folding it up is because of security. I don't want to leave it out on the street. I don't want to roll a bike into the restaurant and bother other customers, have them tripping over it. So, you know, I fold it up into a nice little package and I can carry it right to my table. Here we go. Yeah, I'm all tilted over like this. Hello. Bicycle. Yeah. So I'll come inside. Okay. So I think here's a safe little spot for the bike. No one will trip over it there. Yes. Kway Jiao Tung?
Yes.
Is this?
Medium one.
Medium one. Medium one. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So I showed this when I came.
Chicken and fish ball.
Yes, please. So chicken and fish ball and special noodles seem to be the key to this whole operation. Yeah, it's very, very good. Classic Penang breakfast.
One drink?
No, thank you. No drink. It's okay. Thank you. Nice. That is beautiful. Ooh, ooh. I'm not a person that adds a lot of stuff, but I was here with a friend of mine, and then he, said you got to add some soy sauce, not too much, and you have to add some pepper. You don't have to, but that is what you do. And then, of course, you have these too, the little peppers that they give you. I'll toss them in there. All right. A drink? No, thank you.
Okay.
No. I may have made a mistake with those peppers. One of them is hot. It's in my mouth now. Maybe all of them were. Somehow I thought I recognized them as non-hot peppers, but maybe they would have been non-hot peppers in Thailand. That's what I'm used to, maybe. Here, they're hot peppers. So this is the toast, buttered toast, kind of sweetened. It may even be sweetened bread and sweetened butter. And then you get 2 soft boiled eggs in a cup. Break it all up, stir it to a smooth consistency. I'm still working my way through that one pepper. I should not have added all of them. Mistake, rookie mistake. There we go. Piece of bread. Dunk it in. That's kind of like French toast, right? Yeah. I used to be a big fan of French toast, the periods of time that I lived in Canada. And yeah, you make an egg mixture like this, drop your bread into it, and then you would fry it, very quickly on a frying pan, just to fry the eggs and French toast. It's kind of what this is, except you're not frying it. I found when I was here the other day, the noodles were too slippery for me with the plastic chopsticks. I like the wooden ones. I often buy my own. I ran out. I would normally carry wooden chopsticks in my knapsack, but I ran out of them recently, so I don't have any right now. Or do I? That's a good question. I know I ran out of straws. Aha! Look at that. This is something that I often do. I organize a lot and prepare a lot, but I think in a way you can over-organize and over-prepare, because I often prepare for certain situations, like I prepare for an emergency, but then when that emergency arrives, I've forgotten that I prepared for it. So I'll go through the whole emergency without the tools that I've been carrying around forever because I forgot that I did that. So I kind of forgot that I still had wooden chopsticks. Yeah, see that? You can actually get hold of the noodles. And chopsticks, they're the greatest thing ever. I mean, you can do everything with them. Eat your toast. Okay, that was it for breakfast. The kueh tiao tong and the toast came to 11 ringgit 20. And I'm trying to carry the bike in my left hand now. It's not working out so well. Ooh. Gotta find a nice open space to practice my bicycle unfolding now. There we go. All right. Now, what did I say? Seat first. So raise that up nice and high. And then this is pretty straightforward. The handlebars unclip. There's a little locking mechanism there. Comes out. And now this is the secret. Somehow... Oh, look at that. Okay. Huh. That felt better. Tighten that down. And now comes the fun part. Ying. Isn't that great? Okay. You're locked. You're locked. You're locked. Yeah, that's definitely different about a folding bike. With a regular bike, you don't have to worry about the frame collapsing, you know? But you don't want to get on this bike with one of these sections still loose, like open. You start riding and then the whole thing just collapses on you like a puzzle. Okay. Well, the traffic certainly never changes. My gosh. I thought of this as a pleasant little lane where Cafe Evergreen is located, but so far it's a busy street. Every time you think the traffic is about to die down, a traffic light must have turned green somewhere because a new flow comes racing around the corner from another direction. So the next stop for today's tour is the Old Protestant Cemetery, which is less than a kilometer away from here, down by the shore. A historical site. There's something of interest across the street. A big archway, the Campbell Street Mall. So I think that must be like a shopping mall, like the street itself is like a walking mall, but it's not open yet. It's morning now, of course. The other thing you have to navigate in Penang is all the one-way streets, because I forgot about that, and then I tried to turn left onto this street, and I was just hit with a wall of traffic. Yeah, it's one way in the other direction. So you kind of have to plot a route following the one-way streets as well. Oh yeah, I mentioned that I'm heading towards the Old Protestant Cemetery, and the main reason I'm going there, well, I mean, cemeteries themselves are quite interesting, very old ones. You see some interesting details about the lives that the people lived when they were born, when they passed away. Some information about their life, perhaps. But at this particular cemetery, that was also where Francis Light, the founder of Georgetown, is buried. He died at the age of 54, if I remember right, of malaria. He was quite the traveler, quite the explorer, and he lived for much of his life, his later life, well, here on Penang, of course. He founded the colony, founded Georgetown. But before that, he was living in or near Phuket. Back then, of course, it was called Siam, that region up there. He was living in Siam. Talong, I think, was the name of his hometown. I love that. When you have kind of a unique form of transportation, I'm on a folding bike, that man was on a folding bike. We acknowledge each other, smile and a wave, you know. We are folding bike brothers. And I was doing a little bit of reading about Francis Light. When I first came to Georgetown, to Penang, I read a couple of little things online, and I got a certain impression of the man. And I think I didn't do him justice, because since then I've read quite a bit more, and there was a lot more to him than I realized. For one thing, as I said, he lived much of his life in this part of the world, living in Talang, Phuket. And he learned a lot of the local languages, and I admire that very much. Anyone that can learn languages easily, and I guess he mastered a variety of languages here. So, you know, he could speak Malay, I suppose, and whatever language they were speaking near Phuket, you know, Thai, the precursor to Thai, I'm not sure. And he adopted a local dress, and according to what I read, he was actually a good and honorable man who tried to do his best for the people of the colony here, for family and friends and the people back in Talang. And he was laid to rest somewhere over here on my right. A break in the traffic, heading towards the coast. Oh, I'm suddenly going against traffic again. And there are some very interesting remains of a building, the Shicheng Branch School. Yeah, the foundation, the main floor, and even the top part there looks to be in relatively good condition. I mean, it would cost a fortune, I'm sure, but I think that could be restored, right? I wonder if that's the plan for it. Oh, I thought this was a one-way street in this direction, but it's not. It's two-way here. But if I cross over to where I want to be, then I'm suddenly on the wrong side of the road. I think I'm just going to walk my bike along the shore, along the side here. Yeah, so far my attempts at cycling here just have not been successful at all. I clearly would be, I would have been much better off just walking here. It would have been easier and less stressful. Everything is close enough that you can walk. Here's a busy breakfast place. Ah, dim sum. Ah, I'll have to remember this place, make a mental note. People seem to be having tea and dim sum for breakfast, so maybe that's what I'll do one morning this week. I was worried, of course, that the cemetery would be closed, as often happens in my life, but look at this. The gate here is open, and in fact, the entire left side of the gate is gone, so they couldn't close that gate and lock it even if they wanted to. So that works out well for me. They even have bike racks there. But I'm just going to take my bike with me. I don't know how many tourists would drop by here in a normal day, but I'm sure they get a few every day. People have a passing interest in history, like me. It's clearly not a large cemetery, which is nice. I can see all sides of it here. Small plot of land. Sacred to the memory of Edmund Gerald Coclo Lauder, the dearly loved son of the late Charles Doyley, John Lauder, MD, of Ryde, Isle of Wight, and of Margaret Ann, his wife, who fell asleep on the 12th of February, 1880, aged 23 years. Yeah, I was talking with a friend of mine the other day. We were chatting online about the life of Francis Light, and he sent me a link to this cemetery, its location on Google Maps, and we were talking about how interesting cemeteries can be for photographers. So they're a very, interesting place to take photographs, but you also realize very quickly the young age at which people passed away long ago. This person, Thomas Can, 43 years old. And of course that first one, 23 years old. Passed away March 25th, 1882, 37 years old. William Coleman. And then a number of them are quite weathered. Can't actually read the lettering on the stone anymore. At least not easily. Here's someone who lived to a good age, 73 years. Died May 7th, 1890. Mariam Jan. In memory of John Smith, engineer. Died at Penang, October 25th, 1875. 22 years. I didn't think of it until just now, but now that I think about it, it's a bit unusual to have the person's age written right on the stone. So I don't think we do that in Canada. You would have, year, birth year, and the year they passed away, and you'd sort of have to do the math yourself. I don't think it often says how old the person was when they passed away. Or maybe I'm not remembering clearly. So I don't think it generally does. But here it seems to be quite common. Something to think about, I suppose, is also back in that time. I think life events happened earlier than they do now. So this woman here, Anne, beloved wife of John Woods, she died when she was 35 years old, which is, of course, too young, very young. But in all likelihood, she was married by the time she was 19 or 20 and had children very young. So she was probably a wife and a mother of children who could be, 15 years old by the time she passed away. So she would have had a lot of life experiences despite being so young. Just guessing, of course, I do not know who Anne Woods is or anything about her life and family. I'm just saying that I think people tended to get married younger, have children younger, and then even passing away at a younger age, probably lived a more mature, fuller life, than some people who live into their 50s or 60s. I've seen a number of unusual sites like this one, a very large, almost a small house in a way, and it houses lots of different people. I assume all part of the same family or related to each other in some way, or important to each other in some way. Reverend John Ince, missionary, passed away 1825, 29 years old. And then here, 3 more people. 43 years, a young child, 5 months, 5 months and 26 days. Oh yeah, Rachel Ince, same last name as the first plaque that I read there. And then there's a space on this side for 3 more, so going all the way around. Sort of like a family plot, I suppose. Very large plots, most of them, aren't they? Look at that. I came here with the expectation that a lot of the people buried here would have died young. That tends to be the case with old cemeteries, or at least they died younger than people do today. But I'm very surprised at the numbers I'm seeing, the ages I'm seeing. I mean, just over here, very young, born 1821, passed away 1839. Just still a teenager. And this young girl or young woman, 33 years old. This one, 24 years old. And another right over here, 16 years old. Jessie Henrietta Cook. And behind this grouping, there's the stone for Francis Light. Beneath this stone lie the remains of Francis Light, Esquire, who first established this island as a British settlement, died 21st of October, 1794. Restored October 1894. So on the 100-year anniversary of his death, his tomb was restored, rebuilt and repaired, I assume. So I talked about Francis Light already in a previous video, and at that time I don't think I had a full picture of who this man was and what he did. I just read some quick notes and just had to kind of read between the lines. But since then I've read quite a bit more, and by all accounts he seems like quite an honorable man who did his best, and he was a good man overall. And he was the founder of Georgetown, and considered, the founder of Penang in general. So he was born in 1750, 1740, and then passed away in 1794. So he was 54 years old when he died, and he passed away here in Georgetown. And from what I read, he died of malaria. And that seems a little bit apropos, because as I've been walking around this cemetery, I was thinking about the way in which he died, because I've been eaten alive by mosquitoes since I came here. And there's so many mosquitoes here. They've been feasting on my feet and legs. And that got me thinking about malaria. And then I remembered Francis Light died of malaria. He spent much of his life traveling around the world in the tropics. And I'm not sure where he contracted malaria, but that is what he eventually passed away from. But I don't know the full story of his life, but in the years preceding his life here on Penang, he was living in Talong, Phuket, in what was then Siam. And it was while he was based there, I think it was in 1777, he first came up with this idea that Penang would make a very good trading port for the British. And he brought that idea to various government officials, I assume. He suggested this, sent it up the chain of command, essentially. And nobody listened at that time. As I read online, the idea did not gain traction. But then later on, he brought it up a second time, and this time it fell on some receptive ears. And his superiors, or someone in the British East India Trade Company, asked Francis Light to go speak with the Shah of Kedah. The Sultanate of Kedah controlled the island of Penang at that time. And the British East India Trading Company sent Francis Light to sort of negotiate a trade deal with him. And as he was negotiating with the Shah, the British were offering military aid and military protection assistance in the Shah's fight against his enemies. He was being pressured by Burmese armies from Siam. There was a revolt by the Bugis people, something like that. Anyway, he had a lot of enemies that he was fending off, and he needed help, and the British offered that help as part of this trade deal, and in exchange, the Shah offered them the island of Penang. And the name is interesting, by the way. I think the original name, Pulau Penang, in the local language means the island of the areca nut. The betel nut, also called the areca nut. So this is the island. Because they had large plantations here growing the betel nut, and once the colony was founded here, they grew a lot of spices here. It was very well known for trade in spices. A lot of the wealth came from that. And of course, from tin mining on the mainland and things like that. But anyway, exactly what the terms were of the deal, I'm not clear about, because some things I read made it sound like the Shah gave them the island, just said to the British, you can have Penang, it's yours now. But other things I read talked about how the British were allowed to lease it, and the payment was 6,000 Spanish dollars per year as a leasing fee. But I never saw any mention of a time limit on this lease. Like Hong Kong, the British leased it for 99 years, I believe. I don't know what the situation was here. I was under the impression that they just were given the island and it was now theirs. But then I saw this language about paying a sum of money every year as a lease. So exactly what the situation was, I don't know. But then something very interesting happened in that Francis Light ratified this treaty with the Shah of Kedah, offering all this British military aid and assistance. But then, when the Shah needed that aid and assistance, the British didn't provide it. And it's a little bit complicated. Again, I don't know the real situation, but it appears, I read somewhere that Francis Light didn't actually have the authority to offer them this military aid and assistance. It wasn't approved by the superiors, But then I read somewhere else that it was more of a legal problem, that there was another agreement in place, and the terms of that agreement superseded the one that he entered into with the Shah. So even though they entered into the agreement in good faith, this other agreement meant they couldn't really do it, and the Shah basically never got what he was promised, and he assembled a fighting force of his own men and some pirates, is what I read, and he was going to go to the island and take back Penang from Francis Light and the British. Luckily for Francis, he happened to have 2 companies of soldiers there. I think they were sort of like passing through the area on ships, and they just happened to be berthed there for the time being. So he had a fairly strong fighting force, and he fought against the Shah and won, and therefore kept Penang. And from all accounts, Penang was a big success as a British colony. Francis Light's idea was to make it a free trading port. So anyone could trade here, just come in on your ships, trade, sell, buy, do whatever you want, and there are no taxes or duties being imposed on anyone. And he set it up as a free trade port as a way to entice traders away from the Dutch ports. And it was a big success. You know, in a very short time, you know, it was basically a boom town, and lots of ships were landing here, conducting business. Georgetown grew, banks were established all along Beach Street. Waves of immigration came from China, also connected with the tin mining, you know, on the mainland. A lot of people immigrated or brought over from India. So we have like a very large Chinese community on Penang now. Second to that, I think, is the Malay, and then also a very large Indian community. And this all came about because of his decision, Francis Light's decision, to make it a free trade port. And that turned out to be a very smart thing to do and led to a lot of success. Yeah, a few days ago, I was thinking about all this, and I kept coming back to this idea of who was on the island when Francis Light landed here. I mean, the Shah gave him Penang, basically, or leased it to him. There you are. You can have or use this island as your trading port. But then I wondered, what did the people who were living here think? And were there any people living here? And that's, so far, has been difficult information to track down. But I did come across one mention on the internet that said that there were 58 souls on Penang when Francis Light landed and planted the British flag. So there were 58 inhabitants of the island here, probably fishermen, farmers, villagers just sort of spread out over the whole island. So it wasn't uninhabited. It wasn't completely empty, but you wouldn't really call it inhabited either. It's quite a large place for 58 people. So, you know, it's not like he came into a heavily populated area. In fact, where he landed off the coast where Fort Cornwallis is now, that was all just sort of like a mangrove swamp. The whole coastline was quite swampy, and there's been a lot of land reclamation here on Penang, where they had to fill in the swamp and then, you know, cut down all the trees, fill in the swamp, and build land first before they could build buildings on top of it. And you see that going on around Penang, along the coast even now. A lot of land reclamation going on, which is quite interesting. So, well, I think that is my story, accurate or not, about Francis Light for now. And I'm just going to walk back to his gravesite for a last look before I leave. From here, I'm going to move on to the St. George Anglican Church, because there is a monument to Francis Light there that I haven't seen yet. And I'm curious if it has any information there, like a plaque giving the story of his life. I'm just curious to see what they say about him and his role in founding Georgetown. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Very good. And yourself?
Not so bad. Just trying to keep my distance from the mosquitoes here.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
And the ants. Don't stand in one spot too long.
Yeah, I've already experienced one on the finger.
Did you know Francis Light was buried here? Okay.
Yeah, but we live in Austin now.
So you know all about it.
And also, the king and I, Anna and the king,
Right.
her husband's buried here.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I missed that in all my reading.
Yeah, they've got a just at the entrance over there. They list all the
Selected historic personalities.
Yeah.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
yeah, just over there by the gate.
Okay, I didn't see that when I came in. I'll take a look. Thanks. I was just talking to a couple of other visitors here, 2 Americans, and they said that the husband, the woman in the story based on The King and I, the woman's husband is buried here. I'm not sure I have that straight. It was something like that. But then they said there's a list over here of all the famous people, the notable people that are buried here. And I missed that completely when I came in. It's probably on this stone tablet up ahead. Let's see what it says. I must be very distracted this morning because I'm usually all about these signs and reading them. And I didn't even see this one when I came in. It gives the whole history of the cemetery, gives the layout of the cemetery, even a QR code, and then it lists all the famous people that are here, or notable people, important people. There's a lot of great information here. It's everything I should have known before I went in, but I missed the sign entirely. It says that this cemetery was in use for 100 years, and then they moved. A new cemetery was opened somewhere else. It was originally called the Burying Ground, and Protestants were buried on the northern section, Roman Catholics in the southern, and then they were separated by a dividing wall, and you can still see that wall over there right now. They don't really know how many people are buried here. A survey in 2013 found 459, but of those, 150 can't be identified, and it says that many more memorials were lost when Japanese bombs landed here, and the same bombing raid damaged St. George's Church, and burial records were destroyed. And it says a lot of people were buried in unmarked graves, and new graves were buried on top of old ones. So there could be a lot more people buried here than just by counting the tombstones. There could be a lot more under the ground. There's just no indication that they're there anymore. And it says that 33% of the identified people located here are 30 years old and below, because of the high mortality rate from malaria, cholera, dysentery, and hepatitis. Very interesting. And here's the list of all of the notable people that are buried here. And of course, on the list is number 9. Captain Francis Light, the founder of this place. Surprised he's number 9. I thought maybe he would be number 1. And then also number 18, Thomas Leonowens, the husband of Anna Leonowens, who was immortalized in Anna and the King. And then there's a lot of other government figures associated with Penang and Britain. So yeah, very interesting indeed. And I'm going to get on the bike and try and move on to St. George's Anglican Church. There's some wild traffic on this road too. Very curvy coastal road, and people come around that corner at high speed. Very hard to judge when it's safe to go across. I rode down this way the other day, and I was talking about that sidewalk over there. It surprised me that it's a cycling lane, because it isn't a very good cycling lane, but anything would be useful, to be honest. So just riding down that sidewalk wouldn't be easy, but at least it's possible. I don't even know if I will be able to go down this road at all. Oh, here's an opening. An opening. Yay. Oh. I better go fast. There we go. Yeah, now when you're riding on the road, you just have to have faith that whoever drives up behind you doesn't run into your rear tire. Oh, here we are up on the sidewalk. It's not very comfortable. This is the Eastern and Oriental Hotel on my left, by the way. Classic hotel. Somerset mom stayed there when he passed through. There's part of the Eastern and Oriental Hotel, established in 1885. Very cool looking place. And I believe this street that I'm on now is named after Francis Light as well. I think this is Light Street. I overshot the Anglican church and I'm having to backtrack and zig and zag through some small streets to try and work my way back. And right on the edges of Little India once more. All right, I sort of know where I am. And St. George Anglican Church is right up ahead. And the monument to Francis Light is there as well. This street right here, by the way, is known as the Street of Harmony, because at least four, and depending how you count them, As many as 5 major houses of worship are located here. Starting at this end of the street, St. George's Anglican Church, built in the early 1800s. And then there's a very well-known Buddhist Taoist temple dedicated to Guanyin, the goddess of mercy temple. And then a Hindu temple across the road. And then a very well-known major mosque. And then a second mosque way at the end of the street. Because we have all these major religions coexisting on this one street, they call it the Street of Harmony. And I had plans the other day actually to walk down the Street of Harmony and film the whole street from one end to the other and visit all of these temples, churches, and mosques. But that was the day I happened to find myself at the Chaurasta Market Walk. And I thought I'd stop there just for a minute, and I ended up spending most of the day there. So I never made it to this street, and now I don't think I will complete that walk. I'm not sure. We'll see. But that is the Street of Harmony. And this is St. George's Anglican Church. And somewhere at the front is the monument to Francis Light. I wonder which one it is. Is it this large one right in front of me, in the middle? I see a sign over there that says Captain Francis Light Memorial. So it's over there. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot to see, however. The interior's barricaded by a ribbon, so I guess it's not safe to go inside it anymore. And to be honest, the only reason I came here was because of its location, of course, beside the cathedral. I wanted to see the front of the cathedral. Yeah, doors are closed, so you can't go inside anyway. I was sort of expecting that, but I was wondering whether there was a information plaque of some kind which might tell the story of his life, but it doesn't look like there's anything like that here. It's just the building, such as it is. And even on the inside, there's nothing inside there either. Oh no, there is a little story right there. In memory of Francis Light, who first established this island as an English settlement and was many years governor. Born in the county of Suffolk in England and died in 1794. In his capacity as governor, the settlers and natives were greatly attached to him, and by his death had to deplore the loss of one who watched over their interests and cares as a father. Yeah, I don't know about that. A bit of an odd tone to that paragraph, I find. But there it is. The Francis Light Memorial. Looks nice, combined with the church. Yeah, the blue sky in the background. And just to finish up this little ride this morning, I thought I'd duck over here down Light Street and head down to the water. There's a park here, I think that they call the Esplanade, near Fort Cornwallis. I already went down one street I thought led to the water, but it was a dead end. I'm actually doing a repeat because I rode all through this area. First time I was on this Brompton. But I think this road will take me to the water. Yeah, I think it opens up here. is nice. And one of those massive cruise ships is here. You know, you could say I'm a child of the modern era, born in the 20th century, hanging out here in the 21st. I'm familiar with the idea of massive cruise ships, and yet, when I look at one of those things, my mind just boggles. Like, it does not seem real at all. Honestly, if that didn't exist, and someone showed me a conceptual drawing of that and said, listen, we're thinking about starting a company, it's a boat, but the hotel is on the boat, and they showed me that drawing, I'd tell them that they were out of their mind. Like, there's just no way. It's too much. Can you imagine all the staff and resources required to run that thing on a daily basis? All those hotel rooms, feeding all those people day in and day out, the electrical system, the plumbing system, just on and on. It is boggling to me. And also, to be honest, from the point of view of a personal experience, if someone for like my 70th birthday gave me a gift of a cruise, yeah, I mean, I'd go, but I would never go on one deliberately, like do it on purpose and spend my own money to do it. It just does not seem like it would be pleasurable in any way. It's just too confining, too many people jammed into that space. Yeah, crazy. Like I said, if it didn't exist and someone told me about their idea to build that, I'd tell them that they were out of their mind. And yet, yeah, cruise boats like that are a huge thing. Cruises are very popular. I think I remember something about this area. There's like a walkway with a wall on each side, and at high tide, it can even turn into a swimming pool or something. The water comes up high enough to fill it. I don't know if this is what there might be another area, but nice down here, though. Always nice down by the water. I think there might be another area somewhere that has a walkway like this, much longer one. And I remember seeing pictures of people almost swimming in it. And at high tide, it turns into a little wading pool. Good morning.
Where are you from, sir?
Canada.
Are you having a good time here?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Here?
Yeah, it's nice.
How long have you been here?
On Penang about 2 weeks already.
Oh, so?
Yeah.
Before Penang?
What's that?
Before Penang?
I was in Thailand. Yeah, quite a long time in Thailand. What work are you guys doing?
We are doing a monitoring survey, you know. As you can see, they are digging the sea there.
Right.
To add more land.
Right.
So we are just doing a survey to check the depth of the sea at the area of digging and whether it affected area around here.
Okay. You can measure it from here? We're quite far away for your instrument.
Not really. We took a boat. We took a boat ride for 5 days.
Oh. I see.
Detect the depth of the sea.
And then what is this machine doing though?
Oh, this is a GPS.
GPS,
It
okay.
connects to the satellite. So it has the, accurate position there. So there's another guy, my friend, he's doing this, picking up the details here, where the lamppost is, where the road is, where the sidewalk is. Yeah, it's like that.
All right.
So it will be on the map.
Okay.
So are you alone?
Yeah, just me. I have a couple of friends live here in Penang, but I came here by myself. Yeah.
Are they Canadian or they
No,
locals?
he's from Malaysia.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah. Yeah, I was out that way recently. There's a hotel there called Ascot, the Ascot building,
Yeah, I saw it.
and I could see the land reclamation project.
Yeah.
Looks huge. Yeah, it looks big.
I don't think it's good for the environment.
I don't know anything about it, but I was thinking about the hotel and all the people living on the shore. They used to live on the beach,
Yeah.
but now
They were
the beach
against it.
moved away. You know?
They were against it. I mean, the fishermen there.
Of course, they would be. Yeah, they would have to be.
Their, what we call it, the job, you know. I think the government gave them some compensation, but it wasn't that much.
Okay, no. So are you from Penang, or you come from outside to do this work?
I'm from Penang.
From here?
My company is located in KL.
Oh, okay.
But it feels good to be back.
All right.
Hometown.
All right, nice. How long are you staying for?
I've been here for almost 2 weeks. I'm going back to KL tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Mm-hmm.
So how the food here? What's your favorite food here? I really like to ask foreigners about that, you know?
Well, I'm kind of the wrong person to ask.
Oh, I see.
I don't care that much about food.
Ah.
I'm a very simple man. But for breakfast this morning, I had kway tiao tung.
Kway tiao tung.
Tung. That I really like that, and it came with a toast with egg in a cup. You know, you dip the toast in the egg.
Did you put some soy sauce and some
Soy sauce
and
and
pepper in
of
it?
course, my friend told me I'm supposed to, so I did. I enjoy that. What else have I had here?
Any nasi kandar?
Not nasi kandar yet, not on this trip. I've had it before. I've been to Malaysia before. I've had almost all the local dishes, but I always forget what they're called. I eat them the wrong way. I never know.
That's normal.
Well, that was interesting. I assume I'll include a few snippets of that conversation in the video. Chatting with this man there, doing some surveying work connected with the land reclamation that's going on just up the coast there. I saw that the other day when I went to the Ascot Hotel and the coffee shop there. Big land reclamation. And of course, you do something like that, you have to monitor the effect on the surroundings. You need a before and after picture. Oh, this is really amusing. I saw this the other day when I came by. There's a sign, no feeding of birds or animals. And then you look in that tree and on the wire there, I mean, dozens, if not hundreds of pigeons, like right by the don't feed the pigeons sign. It's like they're defying the law. Yeah, this whole tree is full of them. Anyway, I thought that was amusing. Yeah, it's fitting that I'm riding here, of course, because I've been talking about Francis Light all morning, and this is Fort Cornwallis. I already went in there. And this is where Francis Light landed on the shore when he came to Penang for the first time, planted the flag somewhere around here, and then they eventually built this defensive fort. And then they started building all the streets up ahead. Beach Street and Light Street and all the rest of them. I'm heading this way because I know of a vending machine just around the corner here where I can get a cold drink. There's at the entrance to Fort Cornwallis. Yeah, this vending machine is right outside of Swettenham Pier. And here is the Queen Victoria Jubilee Monument, or clock tower. This is where I started my tour of Beach Street. Interestingly enough, a friend of mine sent me a link to a video by, oh man, I think the channel is called Discover with Timothy, or Discovery with Timothy. I'll confirm that and put it on the screen. But he's a man who lives here on Penang, a Malaysian, I believe. And he did a walk down Beach Street as well. And it was a highly detailed walk where he gave the history of every single building that he came across. I've only watched the first half of it, so I haven't seen all of it. But I thought it was funny that I did kind of a walking tour of Beach Street from the point of view of a casual tourist, and then he did a similar walk, but as an expert historian. So here are my vending machines. So gotta get a cold drink. This one appears to be broken. It won't take my money. I see some green lights over here, so maybe I can get something here. Okay. I had my heart set on a Coke or a Pepsi, and that machine has Pepsi. This one, closest I could get to that is Mountain Dew. What else can I get? Bottle of water, cold coffee. What about Lipton Lemon? Goes for something I've never had before. Lipton Lemon. Yeah. It is what it is. And unless I come across something interesting on my way back to the Airbnb, I think I'll draw this video to a close right here. My breakfast was very good. Visit to the old Protestant cemetery, and a little exploration of the life of Francis Light, and then a look at the ocean. That's kind of what I wanted to do on this bike ride this morning. And then this afternoon, yeah, I'll do something else. And if I make a video about my afternoon's activities, I hope to see you in that video. That did not last long.